What's up, everybody? My name is Chris Manzo. Thank you for having me on your screens in your homes. It is Super Bowl week. I'm joined by Gene Clemons here today as well. What's up, Gene?
What it
Gene's
do? What
down
it
in
do? What it do? We
Louisiana.
down, absolutely down here in Louisiana. Running. I probably did, somewhere around 35,000 steps yesterday. Running around New Orleans, which is hilarious because New Orleans is not a big city, like just square footage wise. Um,
You're
it's
just
not a
shuttle
very
walking
big
all
city.
around New Orleans, doing
Absolutely,
shuttle
like
runs.
oh my gosh, feet were hurting, knees were hurting, like calves were getting tight, cramps in the legs. I was like, man, I feel like I just like started like two-a-days again. But it's just so much to see, so much to do early in the week before the madness and craziness takes over. Like you have to hit the ground running, and so I definitely did that, and excited to talk about it and talk about a lot of the stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the game other than the game within the game. And I think that'll be fun.
Well, I'm happy you said that because it's obviously the biggest weekend in sports, right? The biggest weekend in football, without a doubt. We look forward to it all year, but it's also the biggest weekend of just socializing, right? Just being, if you're a party person, if you're just around the house person, this literally is kind of, it's like New Year's, but without knowing, what year it is at midnight. Like it's a 50-50
Yeah.
chance of who's celebrating and who's not. So I guess that's my first question for you because you're down there, you're our boots on the ground down there in New Orleans. You spend time down there regularly, it sounds like, just from our off-camera conversations. I went to the Super Bowl in Indianapolis when the Giants played the Patriots the second time.
Yeah.
And I still tell people I've never been to Indianapolis because it was just a different city. It was I've never been there prior, but the way the Super Bowl just swallowed it up made it feel like I was just in, NFL land. So can you walk me through, because New Orleans obviously knows how to party with it. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. Can you walk me through a little bit of what New Orleans is like now with the Super Bowl? Does it kind of consume it, or is it consumed by it?
So I'll say this, right? Indianapolis, you have to take with the grain of salt because Indianapolis is not a city that people are going to because they're like, I want to have a great time. When it was in Arizona, fantastic time, not just swallowed up by the NFL. I think you have to know how to maneuver around. And then last year in Vegas, same thing, not swallowed up by the NFL. Vegas really upped the ante for everyone else. I expect the same thing here with New Orleans. And because of the proximity of where they set up like the fan experience, so close within walking distance to all of the stuff in Bourbon Street, you're going to see kind of like a meld of what people would normally do in New Orleans mixed with people having the quote unquote NFL experience. And
That
I
to me
think
is the
that's a great
perfect
thing.
combination, right? That's the perfect
Yeah.
combination. You're getting the culture of the
Yeah.
city that you're in. You're kind of getting a little flavor of that. Again, I was going to parties in high school gyms like that, like late at
Yeah.
night. It was crazy, but that was in its own way really fun too, right? Because I'm a New Jersey guy. I'm spent a lot of time in Manhattan. Indianapolis is a totally different world than what I was used to. So that was a good time. So walk me through it. If you're bringing me down there, I mean, I hear enough about the beignets, the crab cakes, all this stuff. What is New Orleans kind of, you were saying get all the good things in before it gets crazy down there. What's the priority as far as what you're eating, what you're drinking? Where are you checking off before everyone kind of comes down and consumes that place?
So the good thing about any city, I'm sure this is true everywhere. All of the places that people tell you is like the place to go, there's like 4 other places that you've never heard of that have probably as good or better food for cheap. So everybody's going to tell you to go to Mother's. And I think a lot of our fantasy life contingent that came down, their first day down, they went to Mother's, right? Like, because that's the place that people say, hey, you got to go check out Mother's. And it's great food, but it's great food that the world knows about. And so the prices are elevated. The fun part about the week is figuring out the places to go where you can like make your dollar stretch a little bit longer than what it normally would. And so like just finding that random hole in the wall looking restaurant that's on the street, that place has fire food. That place that doesn't look like a really great bar, that place has really strong drinks and a really cool atmosphere. So don't be afraid to explore the places that are not the normal names when you pull up TripAdvisor or you do a Google search for like the best places to eat or the best places to go out in New Orleans. You have to be careful about like overstepping those boundaries and getting into some places that you probably don't want to be. But that's like in any city, right? Like if you go some places in New Jersey, you go across the street, it looks different than it did when you walked over there. So I think in that respect, like not being afraid to explore and adventure early, find a couple spots that you think are really good to be kind of home bases to eat and or drink if you strike out places. And then don't waste your time going to Cafe Du Monde to get beignets. The beignet might be the most overrated thing in the history of foods. So
hot take. I hope you know that. I don't know if you hear a lot of that this week.
Save your money, save your time, because that place is always packed. Like it's always like a giant line. Save your money, save your time, go take a picture next to it. Don't waste your money on a beignet. You know what a beignet is? I'm sorry. A beignet is a carnival food with a really good publicist. That's all a beignet is. It's an elephant ear with a good publicist.
So it's like a funnel cake, like around here, it's a funnel cake, a zeppoli. If you're from Jersey or anyone kind of Italian descent, it looks like a zeppoli. I've never been to New Orleans, so I can't really say, but everyone tells me I should go.
It's just that.
So it's like a zeppoli with a good
exactly
publicist. I like that though, and it's a fancy name. That's the other part of it too. It's like when people say Target instead of Target, it's really just it gives you that extra few dollars that you could throw on the end of that. So that's actually a good little start where you gave me there though, because you're saying the line, the reputation. You're looking at that more as warning signs to not go. What would be those little hole in the walls that you're looking and saying that's because I follow my nose. I usually find good spots when I travel, but I have a restaurant background. I that's what I do in my regular job. My dad has a restaurant, so I know my little subtle clues. So what are you looking for down there where you say, no, I know how to follow my nose? It sounds like you know what you're talking about, right? It doesn't sound like you strike out a whole lot.
Yeah, so the one thing is if you're coming down here, you gotta go and get the what I would say is the number 1 to number 5 picks in your fantasy draft, right? You gotta get jambalaya. You gotta get some gumbo. You gotta probably find some crawfish, but that's issue because you really should smell the crawfish before you walk in the door. If you don't have a sense that this is where crawfish is, then it's probably not going to be the best. Definitely grab you some crab cakes. Grab you a po' boy. They make a po' boy out of everything, the way it should be and intended. Catfish po' boy, so good. If you can find a crawfish po' boy, wow! Like you hit the mother load. Exist in there, and then stay away from any of your beers that might be your normal staples. Find the local brews. New Orleans does a fantastic job with their local brews. They have stuff that's light. They've got stuff that's heavy. They've got stuff that's going to put some hair on your chest. All of it. Go into the local brews and really figure out what's your Bud Light equivalent in the local brew. What's your Heineken equivalent in the local brew, and then kind of navigate from there because the social atmosphere of it is going to take care of itself, right? You're going to find some places, you're going to do some things, you'll be fine. But when it comes to eating, you want to stick to those basic top 5 traditionals, and then go from there. Have people say, hey, have you ever tried crawfish pie? No, I want to try crawfish pie. That type of stuff. And then get those local brews in you for sure.
So now let's say I'm over here in New Jersey. I want to feel that New Orleans experience. I don't know if you could believe this or not. I can't get a crab cake po' boy, or I'm sorry, really anything. A crab cake even is going to be pretty questionable around here this time of year also. But is it a wing sauce? Is it a dry rub? How do I bring a little bit of that New Orleans experience to my Super Bowl party up here?
Tony's. The Tony's seasoning. It's all over the place. Yeah.
The Cajun seasoning, right? The green.
The Cajun seasoning. You got me?
Yep, I'm with you. So you're
The
putting that on the
Cajun,
wings. We're putting that on everything.
you can put it on. The good thing about it is it's like seasoning salt, right? So you can put it on anything, but it's going to give you that little extra kick, and the flavors that makes you think about being in New Orleans. So if you're putting together wings and you don't know, you want to get a different wing flavor. Hey, this is a New Orleans themed party. I might get some wings and do a play on like a lemon pepper and put the Tonys on it instead of the pepper as like the seasoning for it. You might use it kind of like a dry rub. You might use it as like a base to soak your wings in to give it really more of that Cajun flavor. If you want to put them on a grill and kind of smoke your wings, it's just a lot of different ways that you can get that Tony's to be implemented. And you just want to have it out on the table so that people can use that instead. Like, hey, be careful. You don't need as much of that Tony's as you do of that Laurie season. That Tony's going to take care of business. So I think that's the quick and easy way to bring a little New Orleans to you if you're looking to try to like elevate the food and give it more of a New Orleans feel.
So now we got our wings settled, right? It sounds like, but how important is the heat for you when we're talking about wings, especially when we're representing New Orleans? And so at my restaurant, we're going to do a green wing, right? I don't know I don't want to promote it yet because I don't know if it's going to taste good, but we want to do a red wing and a green wing, right? You want to do Eagles wings, Chiefs wings, kind of go with your team. But I don't know what kind of heat to bring. I want it to represent New Orleans a little bit. Again, if we're talking about a house party, you got to please other people. It sounds like right now what we're building our kind of party menu, right? The Chris and Jean party. We got a Tony's dry rub wing. I want you to help me out with what kind of heat we're doing there. Maybe an Abita, right? Maybe it sounds like I think Abita is a Louisiana or New Orleans craft beer. Maybe some dips. But let's start with the wings as far as like wet sauces, dry sauces, how hot, how much heat or how much variety I should start with, and what is that scale of, are you worried about people pleasing, or do you feel like we have a job to do as men that are promoting a football game in a city that promotes flavor, real flavor? Do we have a job to do representing that heat? Do we worry about the guest experience, or are we just trying to be as authentic as possible?
So I would tell you this: you're a restaurateur. You're in the world. Sometimes the customer doesn't know what they're talking about. They don't know how they should be eating their food. They've just been so used to doing it the way that they do it that they don't really understand the right way. And so I think it's our responsibilities as party hosts to show them the right way. Like, hey, this is how a wing should be consumed. This is the level of heat that you should have on the wing. And I think that level of heat is enough to put the beads on the forehead, but not so much that it takes away from the flavor. Like you don't want it to be so hot that now I can't focus on how good the wings are. I only focus on the heat, but I want it to be hot enough that I can, oh man, these are good. And then all of a sudden I can feel a couple beads. I can feel a little lather starting to me, that's how I know that I'm dealing with a high quality wing with just the right amount of heat on it.
And now, are you talking boneless or bone-in when we're talking wings? Because I usually try to offer a little bit of both for everybody if I'm doing a party. But to me, I'm a purist. I like a bone-in wing. I'm getting hungry as we keep talking. But I'm a bone-in wing person. So I need, the hands dirty. I don't need to be the fork cutting it in half. I don't need a boneless, but I do. Again, I cater to people. It's what I do. It's how I grew up. So I understand that it's popular. And I also, while we're on this, the blue cheese ranch debate, I don't know about where you're at, but it gets a little spicy, no pun intended, around me, where people I don't know. I'm cool with whatever. And it offends people when I say that. The people want me to choose a side. But I mean, if blue cheese, if you're asking me to choose, but we got a spicy wing. Obviously, we got to tone it down a little bit with something to offset it. What are you going with here? Were you breaking out blue cheese or ranch? Because a lot of people don't like it when you offer both. I don't know why.
Yeah, so I like to be able to please as well. But I also, it's really I don't even know if it's necessarily pleasing. I like to offer variety. So I'm going to have your bone-in wings for the people who just love a good bone-in wing that they've got to manipulate. But sometimes I just want to get to the chicken. And so I like the option of a boneless wing to just get to the chicken and get to the flavor. So I'll have both. As far as blue cheese and ranch, I'm with you. I don't mind if other people eat either or, but I'm not, there's nothing I'm ever putting ranch on when it comes to wings. It is blue cheese and blue cheese only. And I will say, if I'm going to give you a ranch option, it's going to be a hearty ranch. It's not going to be a real watery ranch. Like you're going to have to, yeah, you got to be able to dip it and watch it stick to the wing because of how thick it is. I think that's the problem, and why ranch gets a bad name is because so many people are out here giving you this watered down ranch.
And well, there's some people prefer it, which freaks me out. Like I almost ended a relationship over that one time because it's just something that kept coming up, because I don't understand why you want like a watery condiment. I can't really think of any world where that's what you want. Again, you're going to hear me say this over and over, but as somebody from a restaurant world and a restaurant family, we're Italians. We put there's a sauce on every single thing that we touch. It's velvety is the most loose you're allowed to be as a sauce. We don't want liquidy in any way, shape, or form. And I'm with you. When you drop that wing down, you have a lot of flavor on there. You have to pick it back up. I don't want it to be like I put my wing in a puddle of ranch and there's some remnants left over. Like it's just not. I think you're right. I think it hurts the ranch name and the ranch industry, if we're being honest with you, because blue cheese just feels superior. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I wanted to hear. You might answer my question.
Blue cheese just feels like it's meant to be there because of the consistency. And again, we're getting deep in the weeds on wings here, but it's something I'm passionate about. So I love a homemade ranch, but sometimes this is the one thing. If for some reason a bunch of bar owners are watching this right now, I want them to know, if you could find someone that does it better than you, just buy it. Because a lot of people say, we make our own blue cheese, we make our own ranch, but it's not good. So I'd rather you just buy one that I already know is good and that I already trust just to make your wing better. But it's not always better to make it yourself. Like I bake my own bread at my restaurant because we have a tremendous baker who does a great job. But we don't make our own rice balls. So I think the one that we get is probably better than the one that we could make. And I could own that decision. I could live with that decision. I'd like it if more people stepped up.
By the way, a cool little thing that you might be able to make if you're like a home chef and you're looking to really bring a New Orleans style dish to your Super Bowl party, boudin balls. I think boudin balls are something that you can have a variation on and kind of give a New Orleans flavor to it. If you can't make it specifically the exact same way that they make them in New Orleans or in Louisiana as a whole. But I think that's a dish because of it's a finger food that can be something that really helps to elevate your party and make people think, he really went the extra mile to bring some New Orleans to this party.
Hey, Gene, while you're talking about bonuses, I want to talk about our friends over at DraftKings because Super Bowl 59 is right around the corner, and it's the perfect time to get on the action with our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, they're giving all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. This is your shot to make every last play a moment to be remembered. Don't wait. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using code FANTASYLIFE. That's Fantasy Life. The crown is yours. So sorry to interrupt your could you get into a boudin ball and what specifically would you say is the most important part? Because that's going to be a tough. You're not exactly asking someone to make a grilled cheese there. There's a lot of elements that go into that. And then what are we dipping that in? Because that goes into our ranch conversation as well. You want to create something a little bit more in the sense of like something a little more kick to it, I would imagine, right? Almost more.
Yeah.
I don't want to say spicy mayo, but in that world.
Yeah, so your boudin ball being your pork sausage, rice mixture together, and then it's breaded and deep fried, right? So I think a lot of times people think about a hush puppy. Think about it. What's that?
Is it like a hush puppy?
It's not breaded on the inside, so not like the hush puppy because the hush puppy has the breading or bread element inside of it. It's all rice and pork kind of milled together into this consistency. And then I could be wrong, but I've done it where I freeze the ball, then come back and coat it before I deep fry it, so that I can keep that ball's consistency together. Pause. Anyway, my thought process on it is that it feels more difficult than what it really is. There's a lot of recipes out there to make it easy for you. And then as far as the sauce, because it's going to be, you got to have some kick in those boudin balls. You want to have some type of cream sauce. I don't know if it's a spicy mayo or if it's a mayo base, like it might be a Greek yogurt based or, something of that nature. But you want to have kind of like a sauce to be able to kind of cool it off with a, with a counteracting flavor to it to kind of round out the balls. But super yummy, really tasty, not as hard as people would think they are. A lot of your basic, I like to cook people could pull off some version of it.
Now I do want to get into a little bit more of, because we're deep in the food. It looks like right now we have a pretty decent menu, right? We have some wings, we have a dry rub, we have a sauced wing, we have some variety there. We got some heat on there. We're gonna get the beat of the forehead sweating, like right before confession level sweating, right? Like nothing too bad. Just enough that you feel a little nervous because you're about to talk to somebody and admit some things. You get that kind of sweat going. After that, we have the boudin balls, which I actually love that move. That's a nice, easy move. And the sauce sounds like it's up to an artist's interpretation of what you want to do with that. What we don't have is our bar setup. I know we're going with some kind of Louisiana flavor if you can get that going. I don't know. I'm probably not thinking of something pretty obvious, but no like obvious New Orleans beer jumps out at me. What's the Super Bowl bar looking like? Because here's where I come from as I've managed bars and nightclubs, things like that. I don't know that you can keep beer going all night with the kind of eating that you do on Super Bowl Sunday. Like you're doing a lot of carbs, so how are we keeping people, what's the bar set up there? Is it light beer? Are you even encouraging drinking a whole lot? And also without it being simply a product that gets shipped from New Orleans, like I'm not saying everyone's got to start making hurricanes, but how can I make the bar scene a little bit more unique and authentic to my Super Bowl party?
Yeah, so I think you gotta. First off, lighter beer is always a good way to go if you're planning on drinking beer the entire time, right? Like you want to be cognizant of the fact that I'm here to eat. I'm here to eat. I'm here to drink. And I'm here for a football game. It's really in that order. If you're asking me, I'm here to eat, I'm here to drink, and I'm here for the Super Bowl, right? So, and depending upon how large the party and how diverse the party, it might be I'm here to eat, I'm here to drink, I'm here to see if there is a few single beautiful things to look at, and I'm here for the Super Bowl. So I would keep it light there with the beer. You don't want to be sloppy, right? You don't want to get yourself sloppy. As far as drinks, I think you should try to make 1 to 2 city-inspired drinks. You've already talked about a hurricane. I wouldn't mind doing a nice grenades, like making some grenades. The hand grenades are super popular. Everyone that comes to New Orleans goes and gets a hand grenade if they're a drinker. They go get a hand grenade. So making some hand grenade shots or hand grenade jello shots, because you can easily get that green look to it. I think would be something that at least your guests go, this person's trying to put in some effort to give us a New Orleans style experience.
Thematically, what do you think makes more sense, though? Are you going for the teams that are playing? Like, am I doing a KC barbecue and cheesesteak option somewhere as well? Or do I stick with the host city just because it feels more in the spirit of the night?
So I think it really depends on who you're inviting. If you're inviting a bunch of people, like for instance, you're on the East Coast. Neither one of these teams are representative of you, right? So do your people really care about the game, or do they care about the experience of the Super Bowl party? And so
I'm surrounded by Giants fans. I got some people that care. I got a lot of Giants fans in my family. We're all there's some alternative alternative, what do you call, ulterior motives, I should say, around these fights right now.
I cover the Giants for for another publication, my Giant Issue podcast. By the way, go check that out. I would say outside of wanting to hate on Saquon, right? Outside of wanting to hate on Saquon and not having Philly in, if you have a team, if you have a bunch of guests who are really into football, I would say make the theme of going and having kind of like a split down the middle representation of both cities. But if it's just there for a party, if this is just a really good, occasion to have a party, then go for the host city theme if the host city is worth having a theme, and New Orleans is worth having a theme. Vegas was worth having a theme. Indianapolis, not really worth having a theme. So in that place, and I know I'm bagging on Indianapolis today, and I would apologize, but it's cold there right now. So you know what? Take it, Indianapolis.
You already know. They know.
Yeah. They're inside right now. They're not coming to get me. It's too cold to go outside. If the city doesn't have enough cachet to make the theme the city, then that's when you go to the two teams. But if the city is New Orleans, then that's a layup if you're asking me.
I also like to have at a party, especially a Super Bowl party, there's a lot of stakes. There's a lot of things that are on the line, significant to some, as they say, right? I like to have a break glass in case of emergency bottle, right? Like it says, like a wild turkey, a bourbon, something that someone is going to need a drink. Like it's got to be something brown, right? When it's that, because tequila's for happy people, and that's not the emergency break. You need something brown in case of, there's always a safety in the Super Bowl. It feels like always something freakish that happens. So when David Tyree takes a helmet catch, when you get the James Harrison return, like someone's got to break out that bottle and say, no, that wasn't supposed to happen. My number was supposed to hit. My team was supposed to win. That's just straight, right? That's not a mixed cocktail. That's just something brown, a little shot glass next to it, and that's just helping out your boy or your girl that just got pissed off over what just happened.
Yeah. It's either straight or it's one cube with a pour over. You don't want to drown. Obviously, you don't want to drown your liquor. So it's like, you just hand it over. Just hand a tumbler over to him. Like, hey, it's okay. I understand.
You have to crack the seal. That goes a long way, right? You need a new bottle. Like I see our imagery on there. Do we need a bottle? I wanted to make it clear that, like, hey, this bottle is for you. I want you to crack the seal on this. Yeah, this is, and I stand with you in what you're going through right now.
And you can't just give them the drink. You have to have the drink with them and toast it. So you got to make sure it's something that you are willing to drink. So if you're not willing to drink it, then don't crack open the bottle and give it to somebody else. Like, hey, buddy, drink this. But they have to know that you feel with them.
Whatever that thing is, though, we agree on that. It's got to hurt a little bit. You got to feel it. It's got to be the hair on. Hair on the chest item, and that's when you break it out. Is when your buddy lost didn't hit his number last minute, things like that. Because there's so much of that, and that's it's such a fun time to be optimistic right now. Right? You have prop bets, you have Super Bowl boxes, you have food, you have drinks, you have a good game, the halftime show, of course. So you have so many things to get excited about that we kind of put our blinders on sometimes and realize that somebody at the party, it's not going to be me, it's not going to be you, it's not going to be the person listening to this, but somebody at that party is going to be a little bummed out. Something's going to happen that it's, again, significant to some, whether it's got financial implications, just your team implications, your favorite player. And I do want to say on behalf of at least the Giants fans in my life, I'm not hating on Saquon. It's more just we can't keep watching this. This hurts. It's like really watching your ex flourish in ways that we've never seen. So I just want to put it clear that if he does win, I'd be very happy for him, because I don't want to put myself in the camp of people that hate him for what he did, because I'm not that guy at all. Brings me to go ahead.
How awesome is this, or how awful is this, depending upon where you're looking from, right? Travis Kelce's ex has to watch Travis Kelce after she kicked his back in for being a bad boyfriend, she has to watch him upgrade to a billionaire superstar Taylor Swift, who might be one of the coolest chicks ever, right? After watching so many Giants fans over the last 2 seasons kick Saquon Barkley's back in for, oh, he's wearing down, oh, he's not really, oh, he was a mistake as the number 2. Gettleman's an idiot. Now you got to watch him elevate to a team that allows him to really like show who he's been this entire time. I just think it's an interesting balance on both sides that have really only minor implications on what they do on the field, but really more about what people have to endure while watching them do it.
It's if you don't want me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best type of situation. It's kind of what I've been getting from him out of this whole time. We're talking about drinks. We're talking about the Super Bowl. So, of course, we're talking about Mike's Hard Lemonade. So quench your hard-earned thirst with a Mike's Hard Lemonade. The Super Bowl's around the corner, and for some, it's game time, while for others, it's heartbreak. No matter how your season ended, Mike's Hard Lemonade is here to remind you hard days deserve hard lemonade. We were just talking about it. There's some hard days ahead for some of our friends at these Super Bowl parties. Obviously, we're hoping the best for everyone out there, hoping that your numbers come out, your bets hit. We have some mailbag letters. We got some people that had some questions for us that I wanted to, again, mostly Super Bowl party etiquette. So while we're talking about, being the person that either is mad about your superstar not coming through the way they did once upon a time, or just maybe your box didn't hit, there is a matter of I guess, etiquette, right, that you bring with you to a Super Bowl party.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's a way that you gotta comport yourself. I think that's important.
So forgive me, I'm just looking for the questions here. Sorry, I messed it up.
I will say this because I know we're talking party, but it is very important to me that within the Super Bowl party, there has to be some type of sweat. Because once again, you might not actually care about these teams. And so that's where the bet comes in. That's where having a little something on the line that makes it, that gives you a reason to invest in it. It is good. I think that as a Super Bowl host, you should have, like, it doesn't even have to be much, like $20. Put $20 aside, and as every guest come in, you have like something that you put, some type of special prop that everybody that comes to the game randomly gets this prop, and whoever wins gets the $20 or the $25 or a $25 Amazon gift card. You just want to like give the opportunity for them to be invested in the game if they really don't have a reason to be invested in the game. So I think as a host, you want to put something in place that doesn't require anyone to do anything except be invested.
And as a guest, what do you always bring in something, right? You're never empty-handed.
Oh yeah, never. You don't go anywhere. My rule is you don't go to anything empty-handed. You always show worth and appreciation for being invited to the place, even if the person that you're going to has it so well that they don't need your money, right? Or they don't need your bottle of whatever. You still bring it because the gesture is what matters. I have the mailbag questions. So you want me to go ahead and read those off?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I'm sorry, I had trouble finding it.
No, it's good. I got you. That's what we're here for. The first one says, "Dear Chris and Gene, we go to the same Super Bowl party every year, and every year there's a couple where the woman mingles and the husband sits up close to the TV and shouts at almost every play. He's betting on a bunch of things like they're all life and death, and he's loud and he's super aggressive. Kind of kills the vibe and scares people. I can't not invite him, not my party, and it's fun, so we don't want to stop going. What do I do?"
To me, this is fairly simple. I make the party about that person. That's my person. I want to press their buttons. I want to get them going. I want to create a drinking game about the things they get upset about. Your bet is not my problem, man. There's a good chance that I'm betting against. I go against the grain on almost every bet I do. It's very rarely done with intelligence. It's all we say on our show on Sirius again with Marcus Grant. We always say, no stats, just vibes. What we're feeling is going to happen. And usually I piss people off with that. So I can't really go to a party with the concern of pleasing everybody. So if you're going to be the person that's going to go there, again, we just talked about it with whatever you're bringing. If you're going to be that person that's going to bring your, I don't want to say a bad word, with you, your baggage, let's call it, be prepared for me to make fun of you if your bet doesn't hit. Be prepared. And again, you want to yell and scream, that's fine, but I'm not going to let you ruin the party. I'm going to make the party about you. But I do think it's worth mentioning. You can't be the yell at the TV guy. Nobody wants that person at all at their party. Would you agree with that? So I think you kind of need to turn lemons into lemonade at that point and kind of just make it kind of the center of it, since he or she, I should say, is yelling at the TV anyway. They're already making a scene. They're already making themselves very known. May as well just lean into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody is willing to do that, then that's kind of who they are, and they probably know that that's who they are. I think that becomes fair game for you to take shots at them. It's okay to me. Second question says, Dear Chris and Gene, every year at the party we do squares, and every year someone is like, we've all decided to make this for charity after the game starts. I've never won, but this sucks, right? Like, I'll throw an extra 10 in for charity if you ask, but winning 200 is fun. I've lost the thrill here. What would you do?
I'm always the one that wins when it's a charity one. I don't win ever if there's personal gain. I want something to root for. I'm not going to that specific. If I have anything to gain financially from the Super Bowl, it's not coming from the party that I'm at. It's usually I've made some decisions on my own. I have whatever app I have. I have the boxes from, whatever job I had years ago that's got the this much, and I got partners in it and whatever. So I'm just there to be a good party member at that point. Like, again, I don't want to be ever the person that's like, we can't invite him back there. So I'm in. I would say to this person, go find yourself a box that prioritizes profit, but it's really not the end of the world to help people out in charity and just kind of be a part of something a little bit bigger. When you consider how much money, winning $200 is great. I don't disagree with you at all, but needing it and being able to be that person isn't the worst thing either. And honestly, the way I like to look at it is it's good karma, right? If I'm already willing to give my money to people that are in need, hopefully that's going to come around when Xavier Worthy is getting over 35, like an over a 35-yard reception or something like that, wherever I put my money on. Besides that, obviously we're going to get into props in just a little bit. You agree with me on that? I mean, I think don't be the party pooper on that. It's charity. You could find ways to make money pretty much throughout the entire party. Go to the guy who's yelling at the TV and start betting with him if you're looking for money. But I think your house rules, right?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would say is if you went in with one thought process and then during somebody just decided that they were going to flip it, because that's what it sounds like. Hey, we all did this thing, and then somebody came along and said, hey, this is going to be for charity. Cool. Ha, ha, ha. Like, right? So for me, I don't mind. Like, I'm with you. I'm not coming to the Super Bowl party trying to win money. I do like to have something on the line at the Super Bowl party. Again, like I said, I just think it makes it more fun. I don't really care where the proceeds go to, or if it comes to me. That's what I'm getting at. I'm on that plus 800, to cash anyway. So I'm not really.
I got Carson Field 2 touchdowns. I don't need your box money.
Exactly. Like, what are you talking about? I've got an anytime touchdown for Carson Steele, and it's at plus 800. Like, I've got things to do. So I'm with you there, but I don't like when people try to change the parameters while we're already in it. For some reason, it feels disingenuous to me. So I would definitely kind of steer clear from that. Last one, let's look at this one. It says, I hate football. I don't care about the halftime show. We go to the same party every year because it's family. Is it cool to just be on my phone the whole time doing something else if everyone else is really into this game? People aren't even mingling. They're just watching intently. You know what? Let me start by saying this. Nobody's going to trip if you don't come to this game. Like, if you don't come to this party, nobody's going to trip. If everybody is into the game, if there's no mingling, if there's no vibe, if the intent of this party is to sit down and pay attention to this game, they are not going to know if you're there. Stop wasting your life at this party. Go find something else to do with your time.
I would suggest that you go out and you find something. It's one day a year that you can find that you love about this game, that you love about football, because I promise you the Super Bowl's not going anywhere. The excitement around the Super Bowl's not going anywhere. One day it's going to roll into your city, and just get under the umbrella or get rained on, man. Just have fun, enjoy the game, find something that you can like. Speaking of that, I'm going to kick it to our friends over at Bud Light for just a minute. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some Super Bowl props. Hang with us, okay?
Even if you score, always stay hungry. No matter how hard you football, it's easy to Sunday.
Our friends over at Bud Light, thank you very much. So listen, I got to make a confession to you. You said something before. You said we're here to eat, we're here to drink, we're here to watch some games, and if there's something pretty to look at, we're here for that too, right? We missed one thing. Super Bowl to me, we could all come out of the shadows and admit it, but it's about the props, man. I've never heard the phrase heads or tails more than you hear it this week, right? You don't hear over under for a singer except for this week. This is, people will bet on anything this week. I've seen commercial bets. I've been a part, by the way, I am people. Look at me. I'm people. So I'm not saying, I'm not blaming anybody, but this is the time you get one day a year to be, listen, you get 18 weeks a year, but you get one day a year to really celebrate ridiculousness. And to me, I look at this as a kind of a celebration of the amount of facets that go into this game. I look for as many props as I can. I have more props that I can keep track of, typically on the Super Bowl. And over at Fantasy Life, of course, we got to be company men, and we have the smartest people in the game doing it over on Fantasy Life. So I figured we pull up the prop list that we have on the site. Is that cool for you? You want to go over some of the props?
Yeah, let's go check it out.
I do want to make an admission. I did bet Carson Steele to score a touchdown. I wasn't joking about that. I did that.
No, I wasn't either.
When the ridiculous thing happens, I want to be the one to profit off of it. I don't want to be the one that says, like, oh, I wish I did that. And what do you think those odds were? No, I know what those odds were because I bet it. And that is the type of hair. Again, no stats, just vibes. We're just going off of that, right? I think we have a Noah Gray prop in here on Fantasy Life, but I threw with the Carson Steele because I can see him being the next Head and Shoulders guy. And he's not going to do it on just straight football acumen. He needs a big moment in his career. I think that happens on Sunday. Again, I hope it's a touchdown, but some people will say the name Carson Steele. We're going to hear the name Carson Steele on Super Bowl Sunday. I wish that.
Let me give you my best prop. By the way, let me give you my best prop for the week. Not my best prop because I think it's 100% the cash. Because like that's probably an anytime touchdown from Jalen Hurts, right? Like that's probably the easiest cash. Dallas Goedert to lead the Super Bowl in receiving is plus 8 something, almost plus 900 right now. That to me is the best prop out there as far as value from it. So do with it what you want, ladies and gentlemen. If it cashes, you heard it from me. But if it doesn't, just know we died together because my money's in there.
That's one thing I always do like to make clear if I'm ever giving betting advice. We lost together. You know, it's kind of like betting on a UFC fighter and losing. Like at least he got knocked out. You both lost. So it's, exactly. You feel a little bit of a camaraderie there. Some of my favorites that I noticed here, by the way, there's one that I went a little bit off the grid on that doesn't go directly with it's kind of in there. I actually ended up I think I'm going to stack it with something I see here. And I do want to give credit, actually, in Pete Overset's article.
Shout out to Pete.
I took my favorite prop this week is I like Devonta Smith and Xavier Worthy both having a reception over 30 yards in the game. I might stack that with Pete's article. He's got Devonta and Worthy going over 99.5 receiving yards. It's his big payout prop. I don't know. I feel like you're only getting to 100. You're going to need some kind of big chunk in this game. I think if they're going to get to that 99 number, it might a 30-yard rip on both of them. They're both quick. Beyond quick is such an understatement, but they both are capable of doing it. Let me say that. So, and I've seen Devonta do it at the highest level, right? We've seen him. I feel like we've been watching him only play championship games. That's my favorite prop personally. And again, I had the over 30, but I'm going to stack it, I think, with Pete's over 99.5 as my kind of big, I had another line, my big play of kind of just edge of my seat play.
Hey, listen, when you got to let them swing, you got to let them swing, right? You got to let them hang. So no problems there.
When you see the ball in the air, right, and you see your guy, you have over 30 yards, you see your guy over 30 yards down the field, that's the feeling you pay for right there. When you're like, if he comes down with this, that's one prop out the door. I did it. It's only one throw. It could be the first play of the game. It's just the best feeling.
The best is when they catch a short pass and you can see the land in front of them, and you're like, oh, it's right now. It's right now. Yeah. It's
nothing like it.
Like, it's nothing.
A couple
there's
others
nothing
that
like
we have here that I really like. We have Kelsey and Barkley. I mean, they got to be the two biggest names, right, on each team going into this, even though Patrick Mahomes is one of the names in this match as well. But obviously, Travis Kelsey is a global star. We have, well, again, I'm using we because I'm a company man, but this is not my prop at all. This is Pete's. So he's got Kelsey over 6.5 receptions, Saquon over 22.5 rushing attempts. How do you feel about that?
Both of them have to happen if they want to win. Like, that's the best part about it is that, and I'm very much, with you. I'm really more of a vibes and just, real practical football when it comes to my betting. If the Eagles will let a really, really old tight end who can't run anymore light them up, then Travis Kelsey off of a 2-week layoff where he gets a chance to get his body as best as he can get it, he's going to be a menace for them, in the middle of the field. And I think that's something that you have to pay attention to. And he's going to be able to work. I could see him having a lot of targets early just to get him rolling. And then in the third and fourth quarter, where I think this thing turns into a shootout, he's going to be a factor there. And then obviously, if the Eagles want to win, their best chance of winning is feeding the ball to Saquon Barkley. And they've done a really good job of, like, his carries weren't real taxing carries this year. He had a lot of them, but it wasn't oh my gosh, he really had to thug himself to this 2,000 yards. So, like, he should be healthy and ready to carry the mail. I think those are really good bets.
And it's his birthday.
Let me write those down.
So that on top of that, though, also I'm assuming you're referring to Zach Ertz on that previous tight end that you're talking about. That's somebody that they know intimately well as well, right? Where Travis Kelsey has that freedom to just improvise as he goes. It's just not a great matchup for them. So I think you're right on that kind of needing to matter. So after that, where do you go? Longest rush, Saquon Barkley, 23.5.
If they're winning, that's the formula, right? I was saying on another show, it would do so much. I was on Sirius yesterday with Kendall and Adam Ronis. Make sure you check them out today, down on Radio Row. And we were talking about, I said, this is a game where Saquon Barkley could have 110 yards, and that's a win for Kansas City. But if the Eagles want to win, is because Saquon Barkley is breaking off those big runs. So if I think the Eagles are going to win, then I've got to think that Saquon Barkley is going to be able to manufacture one of those really long runs.
It seems like he's just destined to have one, whether win, lose, or draw. It seems like there hasn't been a game without it. So listen, I want to address everybody real quick because I think we're about to get out of here. If your bets don't hit, that's not on us, right? If your party is not a hit, that might be on us. We gave some good advice here, I think, right? Let's just recap it real quick. You got to get those wings. We're focused. New Orleans is too good of a city, too good of a food city, too good of a party city to not base your party around. It gives you a lot of low-hanging fruit. There's a lot of fun to be had out there this weekend. Everyone, of course, be safe. It's going to be a great game. Don't let anybody ruin it with their outside noise. I'm going to give you a little Gene.
Hey, the po' boy. Lean on a po' boy. Because a po' boy is easy to make, simple ingredients. You can add any protein to it to make it a po' boy. You can feed it to everyone. You don't have to spend a ton of money. Make that one of your staples on your table for your party. Have fun, enjoy it. That's what we're here for.
And when Carson Steele gets that touchdown, we'll be rich boys. We won't have to worry about a po' boy anymore, will we? Thank you so much for hanging out with us, everybody. Have a great, really fun Super Bowl. We'll be thinking about you. See you.